Speaking of those star players, to start 2024, Mets shortstop Francisco Lindor has begun the season in a 3-for-43 slump. As per usual, Mets fans have taken notice, leading to Lindor's wife Katia to reveal multiple vile and disgusting Instagram messages on Twitter earlier this week. With a majority of Mets fans in defense of Lindor and his family, ex-users RSA Diamond Tails and Alvarez Met for Life collaborated together on Twitter for Mets fans to give the star shortstop a standing ovation when the Mets return home later this week. Mets owner Steve Cohen responded and endorsed the idea, stating that he loves the idea. It worked in Philly with Turner. Positivity goes a long way. However, Lindor did get it going in the series finale in Cincinnati, going 2 for 3 with a home run and a double. The frustration has continued to mount on social media regarding the $341 million shortstop start to the 2024 season.
I love this. Like, guys, like, look, let's put on the peaceful music for a second, okay? Oh, guys, why must we attack our star shortstop's wife and his children? He is trying his best. He is our shortstop. We must live in peace and positivity and supporting our players. We must have our shortstops back, and we must cheer him on next home game, and we must show him the love that he has given us as fans.
Okay. He'd get an egg thrown in his face in New York City.
Like you've said, I feel like we've done this show for a few years now, and I feel like we've talked about it just about every single year. I mean, as soon as the guy has a slump, he's a bust, he's overpaid, boo him, this, that. I'm so tired of it, honestly. And I'm not talking about Lindor. I'm just talking about just the whole the topic, the conversation. I'm over it. You know what I mean? I just think that he put together like this awesome season last year. He did it all for the team. It's all, the way the fans are, especially in New York, it's all, what have you done for me lately? If he has an amazing May, they'll love him. He has awful June, they'll boo him. That's just the reality of playing in New York. And you know what? And it's hard to say because I'm like, what would it take? Would the Mets have to win a World Series for this conversation to stop? But we don't know because we haven't seen it happen. We haven't seen them win the championships and everyone knows how long. So at this point, I'm over it. I'm like, you know what? Obviously, we're all in agreement. He's more talented than the numbers show. The fact that he had the good game against Cincinnati, that's encouraging. He'll be better than what has happened. I think all in all, like, it hasn't been 10 games yet. You know what I mean? Like, if we're in July and he's hitting like under 200, okay, time to panic. But in 10 games, I mean, come on. I mean, we've had this conversation before. We've seen him be bad. We've seen him be good. And we've said it, like, people just have to accept he's a streaky hitter. That's how it is with him. And right now, he just happened to start off on a cold streak. I mean, that's just where we're at right now. So, I think that once all said and done, he'll put together his, however many WAR season and what have you. And it's just something that as he's hot and cold, Met fans are going to be hot and cold with him. That's just the reality of playing in New York. Should they cheer him? It's worth the shot. I mean, why not? I mean, we've done the booing for so long. Let's see what happens. I'm not opposed to it. But again, I'm just tired of it. Really, fans are they're very fickle. They love you one day, they hate you the next day. That's just the game that it is.
When people on Twitter are trying to kind of spread a little bit of positivity, it will always get a bad image and a good image. There's always two sides to Mets Twitter, no matter what, to sports Twitter. There will always be that response of telling fans how to fan. And that's the biggest criticism as to why they would say Lindor should not get the cheer, or he should continue to get booed, or, why fans have every reason to be frustrated. They do have every reason to be frustrated. Not to mention, it's kind of just been accepted as a way of life in New York, where you don't play well, you're gonna get booed. Not to mention, I always say this all the time to, a lot of other sports fans with other Mets fans, not to mention like Raiders fans and Rangers fans, all the fan bases, they're the shareholders of the team. They have every right to give out their displeasure of how the team is playing. You want to boo? You have every right to do that. Fine. You paid the tickets to do it. You do whatever the hell you want. Just don't do anything illegal. But it's going to happen. It just naturally is going to happen. That's just kind of how the hostile environment is in New York sports. If you want to criticize, fairly criticize, make jokes or whatever, make, out-of-pocket jokes on Twitter that are harmless, go ahead. Odds are somebody is going to find it funny. I do it too. I make a bunch of sarcastic jokes all the time. When it comes to a different level of overstepping that boundary where you're attacking the player's family, at one point you have to realize that at one point you can't really classify those people as fans, for one way. And again, that probably fits into the category of me saying, telling a fan how to fan, but there's a certain invisible line that you draw in the sand that you don't cross. I went after James McCann a lot, okay? I did not like James McCann. I was not a big fan of him, but I wasn't going into his wife's DMs, and there were people doing that too. I wasn't going into those wife's DMs and threatening to kill him. At the end of the day, outside of the game, these guys are human beings. Again, this isn't telling a fan not to fan. Stuff like this vile stuff of going and attacking a player's family, it's just inhumane. For no reason at all, it should be happening, but people sometimes take sports into their entire personality and they try to show their passion, and it ends up having them look like, at the end of the day, a bunch of pieces of shit. Then that's kind of what you're seeing right now. Again, we've seen these slumps before with Lindor. I have no doubt he's going to get out of it. Not to mention, I could throw as much data as I can as to why I think that Francisco Lindor is going to be fine. Once he starts hitting again, which he will. We know he will because he sustained that throughout his career. They're going to love him again. Is there a lot of hypocritical play when it comes to fans? Absolutely. For me, I'm very, particular of what I like and dislike. But again, there is just a line that you don't cross. That is one of them. Again, I'm not trying to police anything or whatever, or tell people how to fan, but anybody in their decent mind would know that sending death threats to a player's family who has nothing to do with the game whatsoever is disgusting. And it should go without being said. It should be implied that you shouldn't do that. But with the internet being the internet, you have access to do that. So, people are going to take advantage of that situation. People are going to take advantage of that luxury to do so. It creates a very toxic environment. Listen, I don't care what they do, to be honest. Give them a standing ovation. Don't give them a standing ovation. I don't care. But all I can say is that if they do this, you're still going to get a positive or negative backlash. The whole look as to, nothing goes well for the Mets. Trey Turner got his standing ovation. He homered right after it. Lindor just grounded out to second. It just never works for the Mets. We're completely cursed. That's the type of image it's going to get if it does not work. I'm just saying it'll get a lot more ridicule if it does not work. I'm not saying don't do it. Do it. I don't care. He's your shortstop. He's going to be here to the end of his contract. I hope he retires as a Met because I love Francisco Lindor. This 10-game stretch, we all know, does not define him as a hitter. And we all know that eventually he's going to come out of it.